Hello and welcome to the CSG Engineering Society YouTube CAD video series. This is the video that we go over shaft gear assembly exercise, where we go over the shaft gear assembly exercise. So once again, download the files from the shaft gear assembly folder, like so. And before we make our assembly file, I'm just going to show you the rough steps that we'll be taking. Let's make this playback a little bit slower as well. Okay, so first we have our circlips. We have our gear as well, our spur gears. We have our keys. We have our spacers. And we have our pillow block bearing unit. And there's our shaft as well. So we will start our file with a bearing unit. So basically this unit over here, right? Well, the point of this is that it has a bearing inside of it. And this bearing is then basically suspended in this housing unit, which you can then screw onto any surface that you want. So it's basically a bearing that's basically suspended, and it can hold shafts quite well. Okay, that is the function of it, to be honest. So finish, and let's now open up our assembly file. So new shaft gear assembly video, and find the right folder as well. Press OK, and we're going to load in all of the files, like so. Press on OK for now. There we go. For now, let's move. So because I need the origin, I'm going to move these three files out of the way. So this, and this, we're going to move it out of the way. Dynamic. Just shove it out of the way. Okay, so we need to use two bearing housings. Okay, so right now there's only one of them. We're going to go to assemblies, click on this, add components, and you just click anywhere else. Press OK. Now we'll need to move the bearing unit to the origin. So move. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first rotate this beforehand. I'm going to rotate it upwards, so it's kind of sitting. And then I'm going to move it point to point to the origin. So I'm going to select this arc right here, not this arc over here, but this arc over here. And that center will now become the center of the assembly file. So let's open this up, press OK. Now you've moved it to the origin. Click on OK. And now we can fix it as well. So select it, fix it. Okay. Now we will insert the shaft. Now the way that the shaft goes is so wait, let me just concentrically mate them first. So this and this, they concentrically mate. Okay. Now the way that the shaft goes, okay, is that the shaft, using the dynamic, the shaft basically, it doesn't go like this, okay? So you see how this thing is, so this thing is taking it out of the bearing unit, right? But not on this side. This side over here is reserved for, this side over here faces the end of the shaft, okay? Right now, this is not the way it should be. But this is how it should be. So this end over here, this extended bit over there, this needs to face the end of the shaft, not towards the middle of the shaft, okay? Press on OK. Now what we need to do now is we need to mate the shaft, okay? So align this face of the shaft, this face of the bearing unit, and if you zoom in a lot, you'll find your flat surface on the shaft. Admittedly, this is not a very good shaft design, so please don't use this for an actual project. This would probably fail. I don't have any confidence in it. But it's good for like an assembly demo. close. Now we'll need to now assemble the other side of the bearing unit. So this bearing unit over here. So this circle over there. Sorry, this curved surface over here. And it is technically facing the right direction actually. It actually is. Because it's facing outwards, right? It's facing to the right, which is where it should be facing. Okay? If this was facing this way, then it would be wrong. All we need to do now is just kind of turn it around basically. So rotate it around. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to also specify that this unit over here, this surface, and this surface are parallel, okay? So go back, parallel. This surface and this surface are parallel, okay? And now what I'll do is I will now move the bearing unit onto the shaft now. So assemble, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. The flat surface on the shaft. Zoom out. And now the flat surface right here. There we go. Now we have a shaft. Now we have the shaft supported by two bearing units. Okay. Now, for the sake of imagination, for the sake of simplicity, we'll imagine that these two bearing units are bolted onto a plate. Okay, so that these two bearing units are secured. Okay. Now, what we need to do now is we need to throw on the spaces onto our shaft. Okay. The space over here, we need to add another component of it. Sorry, another. We need to have two of them, right? So we'll add another one of it. There. And we'll now mate it onto the shaft. So this surface over here, this surface over here are aligned. And then we need to specify that this surface over here and this surface of the spacer are aligned. Like so, okay? So the spacer shouldn't be inside the bearing unit. If it is, then just reverse the mate. I keep calling it mate. This surface over here and this surface over here, they constrain together. And then this surface over here and this surface over here, they constrain as well. Okay. Now what we need to do now is we need to now throw on the keys, okay? But before we do that, let me just kind of make sure that this shaft is facing upwards. So what I'll do is I will rotate it like so, and yes, basically facing up. So I'll get two keys. I'll go over here, click on it, add component, and just add the second one. Press on OK. We will now mate the keys onto the shafts without a distance mate. Okay, we're just going to mate it simply just stick it onto one of the surfaces. Okay, so also align. We're going to specify that this curved surface and this curved surface are aligned, and then we're going to specify that this bottom surface of the key and this bottom surface of the shaft are also aligned. And then we're going to specify that this surface of the key and this surface of the key are also aligned as well, like so. Okay. Now the reason why there's a gap here is because realistically, if you were assembling this key onto the shaft, you'll need a little bit of like wiggle room, like because it needs to be easy to assemble. That's why. Okay. Now we'll do the same thing for the other key as well. This curved surface with this curved surface, this bottom surface with this bottom surface and this face with, so that left face over there, right? The left face of the key goes onto the left face of this keyway. This is called a keyway, like so. Okay. And there you have your keys assembled as well. What's going on there? Oh, the spur gear right now, the spur gear is on the wrong side of the shaft. So I need to actually undo this. I just realized it's on the wrong side of the shaft. Okay, mate this onto this side, reverse this direction. Now mate this face onto this face. There we go. Because this face is meant to align with the circuit grooves over here. Okay. And now we need to align the right side of this gear's keyway. Hide it with the right side of the key itself. So now, there we go. So you can see the key through this gap over here. Now do the same thing for the spur gear. Okay. Align this center with this center over here. Reverse the direction because you want the ends facing outwards. We're going to mate this face with this face over here because it's locating against the spacer. See, look, perfect. The end of the gear is meant to be just before where the circlip goes in. This is called a circlip groove. Okay, and then what we need to do is we need to mate the right side of the spur gear's face, the keyway's face, and we're going to hide it with the right side of the keyway. Let's now reveal it. Boom. Okay. And the final thing, the very final thing, are the circlips. Okay. So the circlips, we're gonna add 2 of them. So we need to get 2 of them here. Add 1 more of it. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put the circlips. So click on the inner surface, not the outer surface. The inner surface of the circlip, we're gonna assign it to the groove surface over here. Not the shaft surface over here, but the groove over here though. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mention that this groove is touching again. So this face of the groove is touching against this surface of the shaft. Like so. Okay. And the circlip can be in any orientation. It could be facing up or facing down. Doesn't really matter. And over here we have we're going to concentrically constrain the center of the circlip there with the center of concentrically constrain it with the shaft there. And now we're going to mate this face with, okay, let's actually hide this. Let's actually hide this spur gear. We're going to mate it with this surface over here, like so. Okay, let's now unhide it. Boom. And that's our assembly completed, the shaft gear assembly. We can also now go back to view, show hide, and hide the assembly constraints as well, like so. And that's your completed shaft gear assembly. Thank you. Before I finish off, actually, let me show you the shaft gear rotating. So I'm going to rotate this spur gear, and you can see now it rotates. And when it does rotate, it rotates the other components as well. Perfect.